Hello everyone and welcome back. A big thank you to everybody who has subscribed. If you have not subscribed, please do so that you will get a notification each time I upload a new video. In today's video, we are going to look at the political life of Emilio Stanley Mwai Kibaki. Emilio Stanley Mwai Kibaki was a Kenyan politician who served as the third president of the Republic of Kenya from December 2002 until April 2013. Kibaki was born on the 15th of November 1931 in Gatuyaini village, Othaya division of the now Nyeri County. Kibaki was the youngest son of Kibaki Githinji and Teresia Wanjiku. Kibaki started his schooling at the village school in Gatuyaini and was there for 2 years before joining the Karima Mission School that was close to Othaya town. Kibaki then moved to Mathari School, now known as Nyeri High School, between 1944 and 1946. Kibaki also learned carpentry and masonry in addition to his academic studies. After his primary school, Kibaki went to Mangu High School between 1947 and 1950, where he got the highest grade in his O-level examinations. During his last year at Mangu, Kibaki had briefly considered joining the army but was not able to when Kenya's Chief Colonial Secretary Walter Coles prohibited members of Kikuyu, Embu, and Meru communities from joining the military. Kibaki instead joined Makerere University in Kampala, Uganda, and studied economics, history, and political science. Kibaki graduated with a first-class honors degree in economics. After graduation, Kibaki remained in Uganda where he worked for Shell Company of East Africa. Kibaki would later earn a scholarship that entitled him to undertake postgraduate studies in any British university. Kibaki chose the London School of Economics, from which he obtained a Bachelor of Science in Public Finance with a distinction. After his studies, Kibaki went back to Makerere University where he taught as an assistant lecturer until 1961. Kibaki's political life began in early 1960 when he left his teaching job at Makerere University and returned to Kenya. Upon his return, Kibaki became an executive officer of Kenya African National Union. Mwai Kibaki also helped draft Kenya's independence constitution. In 1963, Kibaki was elected as Member of Parliament for Donholm, now known as Makadara in Nairobi. This was the beginning of his long political career. Between 1963 and 1982, Kibaki held various positions including Permanent Secretary for the Treasury, Assistant Minister for Finance, Minister for Commerce and Industry. In 1969, he became Minister of Finance and Economic Planning and held that position until 1982. In 1974, Kibaki moved his political base from Nairobi to his rural home of Othaya after facing serious competition for the Donholm constituency seat. Kibaki became the Member of Parliament of Othaya in 1974. The Time magazine in 1974 rated Kibaki among the top 100 people in the world who had the potential to lead. Kibaki was the Member of Parliament for Othaya from 1974 to 2007. When Daniel Arap Moi became Kenya's president in 1978, he made Mwai Kibaki his vice president. Kibaki also remained the finance minister until 1982, when he was appointed Minister for Home Affairs. Kibaki fell out of favor with President Moi in March 1988 and was dropped as finance minister and moved to the Ministry of Health. Initially, Kibaki's political style was described as gentlemanly and non-confrontational. This style made people criticize him of being spineless or cowardly and a politician who never took a stand. Kibaki had to portray himself as a loyal, staunch member of the single ruling party KANU. Before multi-party politics was introduced in 1992, Kibaki had declared that agitating for multi-party democracy and trying to dislodge KANU from power was like trying to cut down a fig tree with a razor blade. Kibaki, however, surprised people when he resigned from government and left KANU on Christmas Day in December 1991. This was only a few days after the repeal of the Section 2A of the Constitution of Kenya that restored the multi-system of government. After resigning from government, Kibaki formed the Democratic Party and entered the presidential race in the upcoming multi-party elections of 1992. Kibaki was considered as one of the favorites among those challenging President Moi, even though his support came mainly from the Kikuyu voters. This election was fought along tribal lines, and it confirmed a prediction that had been made by President Moi and political analysts at the beginning of multi-partyism in Kenya. Kibaki came third in the presidential elections of 1992 as a result of a divided opposition. In the 1997 elections, Kibaki came second. At this point, Kibaki joined third-placed Raila Odinga and accused President Moi of rigging the elections. Both opposition leaders did not attend Moi's swearing-in for his fifth term in office. To prepare for the 2002 elections, Kibaki's Democratic Party affiliated with other opposition parties to form the National Alliance of Rainbow Coalition. In December 2002, Kibaki was injured in a road accident, and the rest of his presidential campaign was conducted by his NARC colleagues in his absence. The campaigns were led by Raila Odinga and Kijana Wamalwa. On December 2002, Kibaki and NARC won the elections with a landslide victory over KANU. Kibaki got 62% of the votes against 31% of the KANU candidate Uhuru Kenyatta. On 30th December 2002, while still nursing injuries from the motor vehicle accident and in a wheelchair, Kibaki was sworn in as the third president and commander-in-chief of the Armed Forces of the Republic of Kenya. Kibaki's swearing-in marked the end of the KANU rule, the party that had ruled Kenya since independence. Kibaki declared his intention for re-election on January 26, 2007, and on the 16th of September 2007, Kibaki announced that he would stand as the candidate of a new alliance made up of all the parties that supported his re-election. This new alliance was called Party of National Unity. The parties in this alliance included KANU, DP, NARC Kenya, Ford People, and Shirikisho. Kibaki was declared the winner in the hotly contested 2007 election. 1 hour after being declared the winner, Kibaki was sworn in at the grounds of State House, Nairobi, for his second term. Kibaki defiantly stated that the verdict of the people should be respected. Tension continued to rise, and this led to protests by a huge number of Kenyans who felt that Kibaki had refused to respect the verdict of the people by forcibly remaining in office. When Kibaki swore himself in within an hour of being announced the winner of the highly contested election, it revealed his steely side as opposed to the old-school gentleman perception people had about him. Opposition leaders saw this result as a plot by Kibaki's tribe, the Kikuyu, to keep power by all means. This anti-Kikuyu sentiment led to the 2007 to 2008 Kenyan crisis. Violence broke out in several places in the country. The unrest continued for more than 2 months, with Kibaki ruling with half a cabinet. The opposition leader, Raila Odinga, refused to recognize Kibaki as president. The then United Nations Secretary General Kofi Annan and some eminent African personalities, and backed by the African Union, the United States, and the United Kingdom, intervened to help bring an end to the unrest that happened after the 2007 elections. Following the mediation, a deal called the National Accord was signed in February 2008 between Raila Odinga and Kibaki. The accord was later passed by the Kenyan Parliament as the National Accord and Reconciliation Act. The act provided, among other things, power sharing, with Kibaki remaining president and Raila taking the newly created post of Prime Minister. We now turn our attention to Kibaki's economic legacy. One of the main tasks of the Kibaki presidency was to turn around the country after years of stagnation and economic mismanagement. Kibaki did much to repair the damage done to the country's economy during the 24-year reign of President Mwai. Compared to the Moi years, Kenya was better managed by far more competent public sector personnel and was much transformed during Kibaki's presidency. During Kibaki's presidency, development was resumed in all areas of the country, including the largely underdeveloped arid north. Many sectors of the economy recovered from total collapse. State corporations that had collapsed during the Moi years were revived. The telecommunications sector boomed. Rebuilding, modernization, and expansion of infrastructure began. Several ambitious infrastructural and other projects, such as the Thika Superhighway, which would have been seen as unattainable during Moi years, were completed. Kenya's cities and towns began being renewed and transformed. The Constituency Development Fund, also known as CDF, was introduced in 2003. The CDF program has facilitated the putting up of new water, health, and education facilities in all parts of the country. President Kibaki oversaw the creation of Kenya's 2030, which is a long-term development plan aimed at raising GDP growth to 10% annually and transforming Kenya into a middle-income country by 2030. This was unveiled on the 30th of October 2006. During Kibaki's regime, there was a reduction of Kenya's dependence on Western donor aid, and the country was funded by internally generated resources such as increased tax revenue collection. Relations with the People's Republic of China, Japan, and other non-Western countries improved and expanded remarkably in the Kibaki years. Kibaki managed to virtually end the grabbing of public land that was rampant in the Moi and Kenyatta eras. He was, however, unable to adequately contain Kenya's widely entrenched culture of endemic corruption. As a person, Kibaki was never accused of corruption. Kibaki handed over the Kenyan presidency to Uhuru Kenyatta on the 9th of April 2013. The handover marked the end of his presidency and of his 50 years of public service. Kibaki was married to Lucy Muthoni from 1961 until her death in 2016, and they had 4 children. Mwai Kibaki died on the 21st of April 2022 at the age of 90 and was laid to rest at his Othaya home in Nyeri County on 30th April 2022 with full military honors. That brings us to the end of this video, in which we have looked at the political life of Mwai Kibaki, who was Kenya's 3rd president. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel, and join me in the next one when we will look at another Kenyan president. Bye for now.